What is going on, fellow agents? Mr. Miah here. Today I'm going to be bringing a few different medic builds. This video may be a little longer than usual, but I'm going to try to encompass as much of the healing as I can. I'll be going over a Hardwire 4-piece build, which is a combat medic, a Hardwire build with BTSU gloves, it's a field medic, and then I'm going to be bringing a full high-end that you can substitute in exotics with, which ultimately seems to probably be the maximum amount of healing that I can get is from the full high-end. So without further ado, we will get into that. So first, Specializations. You can run the Survivalist if you want to run all 6 tiers of skill. That way you can get the 15% outgoing healing and medkits heal your team, as well as unlock the Mender Seeker Mine. Plus you get 10% bonus damage to targets with status effects. The entire team does. Well, then what I am running for most of these builds is the Technician for the +1 skill tier. That allows a little more freedom with the build. Armor kits will heal all friendly proxies within 10 meters. And then the Faraday Field, which anybody within 5 meters of the hive, and if you have any other deployable skill, then they will be immune to shock and disruption, which is great. Alright, so moving on to the actual skills. Alright, the main skill that we're going to be using for all these builds will be the Restore Hive. We're going to be using everything at tier 6, otherwise why bother doing it? With this current build, got a refill speed 2 seconds per charge, hold 32 charges, a range of 13, a little over 5 million health, and without all other bonuses taken into account, just the gear bonuses, 377,000 hit points per charge. Other forms of healing, there's the Fixer Drone with the 17.2 second cooldown, 6.7 million health, almost 115,000 healing per second. There's the Chem Launcher Reinforcer. This is the largest form of burst healing. In this form, the burst healing is 1.25 million. The repair over time, I don't know if that's per second, but assuming it is, that's 225,000 per second with 8 charges total. The Mender Seeker Mine with this build has a cooldown of 20 seconds, heals 115,000 per second, but that's just me. Next, we will talk weapons. I pretty much run the same weapons with each of these builds. You can change it up how you want. So I'll start with the sidearm. The sidearm, I'm using the backup boomstick, and I'm using Preservation. And the big reason behind this is, first of all, the backup boomstick it packs a wallop, and the chances of me one-shotting an enemy who's weak are high. So what happens is, I make sure to have Preservation. This means if I need armor or whatever the situation, and I actually have to try out, see if meleeing counts just like in Division 1. But if you kill an enemy, it'll repair armor over 5 seconds, 10% over 5. And if I get lucky and happen to get a headshot kill, it repairs it by an additional 10%, so that's 20% over 5 seconds. We're going to be using the Send-Off named shotgun. You can craft this at the crafting station. And it comes with 2 perfect perts. Perfect distance, which is great, actually. It's this thing is super viable at range. And more importantly, perfectly rooted. Once every minute for 15 seconds, if we stay in cover, we can increase our healing by 30%. And with the combat medic build, this gives the Seeker Mines an additional 30% damage, or whatever you end up using. For the primary weapon, I'm using an M249B. You can use any primary that you prefer. I like this because of the extra damage to targets out of cover, the amount of bullets it has, as well as the fact that it takes the technician laser pointer that pulses targets. And this means I can target and pulse the entire horizon of enemies for my teammates. And then Reformation. Headshots grant 30% skill repair for 8 seconds. So I can laze and blaze, light up all the enemies, suppress some of them, get some headshots, and give bonus healing to my team, all with this weapon. Alright, time to get on to the builds. We'll start out with the combat medic. This is running 4-piece hardwire. Each piece I will be trying to run repair skill and skill haste as much as possible in every spot. Just to show you real quick what we're running. 20% repair skill there. 20% repair skill and an 18% repair skill mod. If you have the 20%, that's another total 40 right here. Another 20% repair skill. Another 20% repair skill. So now the other two pieces. On every one of these builds, I'm using an Alps Summit backpack. Number 1 for the 15% repair skill that comes innate with the brand set. 2, because it always comes with the skill tier as the core attribute. This one came with Safeguard. You absolutely want to be running Safeguard on a healer build. If you're a dedicated healer, there's no reason to run any other backpack but one with Safeguard. The other reason I like the Alps is because it does come with the utility slot. So that allows me to add up to an extra 20% repair skill through a mod on top of the repair skill there. The absolute god roll piece for me, status effects, would have rolled as skill haste. And lastly, the exotic piece, I've been farming. My clan mates have been helping me farm, and I cannot get a level 40 pair of BTSU gloves. I've been trying. Anyway, the BTSU gloves, detonating a hive refreshes allies' skill cooldowns and grants them overcharge for 15 seconds. I primarily used transference overclock once my allies have either used their reviver hive or they've used all their attack skills, whatever it happens to be when we're a spot where everybody needs their skills refreshed. That's the primary reason I will use it. Secondarily, no matter what skill tier anybody is at, for the 15 seconds the overcharge is on, they have maximum skill tier, the overcharge. And then, of course, with this build, we're running the hive, same hive as always, and this setup, you can see it's healing 396,000. That's not taking into account Safeguard and any incoming healing that you would have. And then we are running the cluster mines in this loadout. The cluster mines unbuffed are doing almost 1.5 million, and I have 10 of them. The next build I have is another 4-piece hardwire. This is my field medic build. This is a full heal. What we did this time, we switched out the BTSU gloves. So we switched out the gloves with these Mosley hardwire gloves with 19.6 skill repair. We are still running the same backpack, all the other pieces are the same, and instead we're running the tardigrade armor system. What this does, the ablative nanoplating, whenever you or any ally's armor breaks, they gain 80% of your armor's bonus armor for 10 seconds. Every one of your teammates has their own cooldown of 45 seconds internally. That helps the survivability of the team right there. To look at the stats in this build, we're running a Restorer Hive that is healing for 357,000 per tick, and a Fixer Drone that's healing for 107,000 per second. My mods are nowhere near max, so you could definitely do better than these as well. Now what I find to be the most effective of all the healer builds is just a full high-end build. So, using all the same weapons, Reformation, Perfectly Rooted, Preservation. We are going to be using 3 pieces of Alps and 2 pieces of Murakami. 3 pieces of Alps gives us the 15% skill repair skill, the 20% duration, and 10% skill haste. Murakami gives us 20% skill duration and 15% skill repair on top of everything else. Now, That leaves a third piece, a third brand set, or an exotic. As you guys know, the backpack, same piece with safeguard. 3 pieces, we got the mask with skill haste, repair, repair. Gloves, we're using the motherly gloves. These are formerly the gloves, you can still craft them. Before they were used to get the 13% specific weapon damage. Now they give 20% skill health, which is actually beneficial for both the hive and especially beneficial for the fixer drone. Knee pads, we got our Miah-Pinions with skill haste and repair skill. The holster, we have the second Miah-Pinion with skill haste and repair skill. And so the hive in this particular layout is healing for 402 unbuffed. And the drone, our fixer drone, is healing for just over 121,000 per second. So this is by far the favorite one of my builds. So now we'll get into the chest pieces. Alright, now the real fun of this build is the chest piece. What are you going to do here? First of all, since we are running with the technician, we have the extra skill. So you could run something like the tardigrade. And this will give the extra armor on breaks to the team, give you some extra survivability. So this is one option. It says skill tier 5, but as you guys know, since the technician gives us +1 skill tier, when you go here, we of course are still skill tier 6. With this piece, we have the 350,000 plus per charge and 106,000. So moving on, now we'll just talk about the high-end pieces. What it really comes down to is what talent is going to be the best talent to run for your team. Now to get into specific team perks, Protected Reload. Grants 20% bonus armor while reloading. Grants 0 to 18% of your armor's bonus armor to all other allies when they are reloading based on your core defensive attribute. So that will, since we don't have a whole lot of armor, that it won't add a ton, but it can add a bit, and that can help with your teammates' survivability. Next is Overwatch. After staying in cover for 10 seconds, increases you and your allies' total weapon and skill damage by 12% as long as you remain in cover or in a cover-to-cover move. So since we're trying to stay at full health the majority of the time to proc Safeguard for the bonus healing, we should be able to proc this fairly often. The downside is it takes quite a while to proc this perk. The bonus is, since we're trying to stay in cover and get the Safeguard going, Overwatch procs to buff their damage, and you're also in the position you need to be to proc the perfectly rooted from the send-off shotgun. So this is a viable perk. My second favorite perk for this build is Empathic Resolve. Repairing an ally increases their total weapon and skill damage by 3 to 15% for 10 seconds, and 1 to 7% if you heal yourself. The effectiveness is increased by your skill tier. And so what this essentially means is it jumps 1% per tier for you as the healer, and for your teammates starting at 3, it jumps 2% for each one. So at skill tier 6, which you will be at almost all of the time, that means your teammates will have 13% and 13% weapon and skill damage essentially every time they're getting healed for 10 seconds. So this works really well. Another cool trick is you can give whoever your primary damage dealer is, you could give your drone to, it'll follow him around, and basically he'll have 100% uptime. What's the downside of this perk? Well, what is 13, or even when you're overcharged, you have the full 15%. What's 15% weapon damage to somebody who's stacked a whole ton of weapon damage? Since it's just additive, it's not multiplicative, this ends up really not netting a whole lot of bonus damage. Lastly, I'm going to go over what I recommend as the chest piece. I actually recommend a Wyvernware. And the reason why is, first of all, the plus 10% skill damage that's part of the brand set. If you do decide to switch to a damage skill, obviously that's beneficial there. Ideally, this would roll with repair skill and skill haste, just like every other piece. But now let's get into the actual perk, Kinetic momentum. When in combat, each skill generates a stack while active or not in cooldown. Stacks increase your total skill damage by 1%, and more importantly, total skill repair by 2%, up to 15 stacks per skill. And then they're lost when it's on cooldown. So this means my hive, after, and it seems like it gains about a stack per second, or maybe even a little bit faster than that. It seems like it takes about 10 seconds or so to get to full. I should probably time that. Anyway, once they're up, in addition to every other healing you have, this adds an additional 30% on top of it. So from a healing standpoint, this seems to be the best build or the best talent specifically to help my team heal, which is the whole job of the healer. Again, the runner-up would be the Empathic Resolve for the extra weapon and skill damage. But if the team is really running efficiently, it ends up being such a small, 2 to 3% actual skill and weapon damage increase. So, Wyvern for the win, Kinetic Momentum for the heals. All right, guys. Let's see. That's pretty much it. I'll quickly go over the stats of this particular build since this is my favorite one. So we got the Reformation for extra skill repair, Perfectly Rooted for extra healing, Preservation in an oh shit situation for my own personal healing. Just the weapon stat damage for the LMG. Alright. Now with the Talent Safeguard. Skill Repair 100% when at full armor. Kinetic Momentum, an extra 30% when at full stacks. Alps for 15% skill repair. Vernware for skill damage if we need it. Murakami for an additional 15% skill repair. Between the two of those, 40% skill duration. 660,000 armor. We're definitely on the low end there. Look at the hive. 45.3% skill haste. 402 healing. Drone. 45.3 skill haste, 121,000 healing. Alright, put my hive down. Okay, now you can see they start to fill up, doing the extra healing. There we go. Whoa. Here's the problem, is not having a lot of armor. So, alright, let's just check the effectiveness of this. There we go. Our Empathic Resolve is all the way up. Bam. Well, agents, thanks for checking out the new healer builds that I got for Warlords in New York. At this point, I'm looks like about 9.8% off of max healing through the gear and 1.5% off with the hive. So, almost there. This is almost maxed out, so I think I'm just about at the ceiling of what this will be able to do. So now we're just waiting for the new content. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you like the video, go ahead and hit that like button. Feel like subscribing. I do try to keep a lot of fresh content and do as many non-meta builds as I can. And feel free to share the content. That actually is the best thing to help my channel grow, is simply sharing this. So thanks a lot, guys, and I will see you in the dark zone.